Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, "Wife told me she feels trapped in our marriage. Meanwhile, we planned for a happy life with a house and children. What can I do? I am with my wife since nearly 7 years. We met when we both were 23. I was a full-time student, she was working since she was 16. I was finished my MSc till 27 and she meanwhile did a BSc part-time next to work. Since ever all she wanted in her life was to own a house and to have a family. For me marriage was always important, not because of religion, but because I dream of having someone to share your whole life with. So, after I finished my degree we got engaged and started to plan our wedding. 1 month prior to our wedding she opened up to me that the thought of marriage makes her feel caged. She also told me that she was somehow interested in my younger brother, for over a year, and had sex dreams of him. My brother looks quite like but back then I was maybe 15 kilograms overweight and he goes to the gym since several years. She also told me that she doesn't understand it since beside him having a good body he smokes weed every day, lives with my parents at 27 and isn't near finishing his degree. And she always wanted to have that stable relationship. We had some talks over it and got to the point that those feelings can happen but as long as I am her first choice, she cannot change how she feels. She told me those feelings went away later when we started to work on the house. You will read it later. In the last year we had similar talks around 3 to 4 times. To let you know something about our situation, since March we are renovating my grandfather's house who passed away. I have a nice garden where a big swimming pool like she always dreamed of has enough space. While in the beginning I wasn't totally into the project, I also want a house, but I can be a bit lazy. When we started it, I dove right into and really started to like the work. As an engineer all the technical work, speaking with construction companies etc. is in my responsibility, so until it gets to the point where you choose floor or room colors, that's most of the work. The project somehow made me a man, taking responsibility or sometimes growing some balls and fight with the companies because something isn't working out etc. During the first months she was also very into it. But by July, where we hired the first big company, we had a lot of problems with them. She lost interest in the project. She told me, and I believed her, that all the work is too much for her and she needed a break. She worked like no other woman during deconstruction for several months. Around the same time, she started to play an online game. Since then, she spends all her free time with it. She has some guys that she plays regular with. Some part of me understood her, because I was addicted to an MMORPG when I was 14 to 16. Playing was still a lot of fun. That's why I did it so much. And since till now she was the most responsible person I know, I thought she could handle it. I was at the construction site every day after work for 3 more hours, so I basically came home to sleep. Since then, she also started to want to cuddle a lot more when going to bed. We do not spend a lot of other time together right now, leading to sex, which was actually lost, the cuddling before sex, since we were in our first year together, which at first made me live with the situation. The last 2 weeks I turned the work at our house down a bit, because it is also getting a bit too much for me too. When I want to spend time together I have to offer he something to do because it feels like suddenly we don't have anything to talk about. Regarding the house she just wants short reports, like you would give to a colleague at work. I hear how much fun she has with those guys. She says they nearly only talk about the game, but I always felt like there is a bit more about it other than the game. Especially because she told me it is so nice to learn about guys from other countries, how their life is etc. On Saturday at 2 a.m. in the morning, she knew or stood up so late, but no does because she wants to play with the guys from different time zones. We brushed teeth. She told me she would follow into bed for cuddling after finishing doing her face washing and so on. She left me waiting 25 minutes while I heard she was chatting with someone. That hurt me a lot. I told her this yesterday. During the last weeks I feel very unimportant to her. When I got back from work, not normal work, but building our future home, at 8 p.m. while leaving for normal work at 6 a.m. She doesn't even bother cooking something for me. She only told me, "I am so hungry, what do we eat?" We normally eat at 5 p.m. when we both get back from regular work. During the last weeks our communication is very bad and there are a lot of misunderstanding, partly because she doesn't bother to take the time to talk to me, partly because I feel hurt and don't want to run after her trying to make everything clear. Yesterday after coming home from meeting the plumber at the house, she told me that she feels so trapped in her life, with being married, having a house together and planning to have children. She also told me that she wants to have feelings towards other guys, now it's some of the guys online. And while I again told her that having feelings is not bad, she said she cannot guarantee that only having feeling will be enough for her. She assured me that she had the same feeling for me when we met, but over the time a relationship changed. And she was very unsure if we should have children 2021. This was quite a shock for me because for the time I know her, her priorities were always to have a safe relationship with a self-owned house and a family. After that I wanted to spend some time for me, and later on we had a talk where she started with that she already feels a lot better than before. She is on her period right now. IDK if this explains anything, she never had it before this year because of the pill she took. For me, I still love her. I try to make her happy. Maybe a bit too much. The last year I started to work on my nice guy problem and in general becoming a man. I also lost 10 kilograms and changed my body from saggy overweight to fit but with a belly. She is my first girlfriend ever. She had some relationships before but was never an easy-to-get girl. I honestly do not know how to react to this now. We had a talk concerning this multiple times now, but she never doubted having children with me. At every talk she tells me that it is not about sex but having the feeling you have when falling in love. She says that those would go away again, so she never doubts me as her choice. And she also says that she wouldn't want to have an open or polygamous relationship because it doesn't work with having a family. This invokes the fear in me that she has simply never found the right guy and at some point she will go away from me. And with this feeling I am starting to question building a house for us and especially having children. Also, because simply putting the house project completely to the side invoked a fear in me that she would do the same with a child. I know I cannot say, "Make your choice for me now or go," because you need to be able to solve problems like that to stay together for a lifetime. If I would force a decision for me now, the topic would come back in some months or year where in the worst case we would have a young child. I nevertheless feel very hurt and betrayed because I invest nearly all of my free time since the end of last year into the house, read about technical stuff, how to build a house properly, etc. And what she says now not what we always said our relationship would be. Her rowing back in the evening after seeing I was hurt doesn't really help me either. It only makes me afraid that in the future she wouldn't tell me. I don't know how to confront her today after work. Somehow I don't want to fight for her, because I invest more than enough in our future. And running after her is now what I want to do in my life. Some years ago, I would have done so anytime, but me over the last year, gained self-confidence keeps me from running after her all the time. And other hand I fear that showing I am hurt will push her away more. Should I insist that she stops having contact with those guys? This would play right into her feeling caged. I don't know. A user in the comments said, "Couple counseling ASAP. She needs to know what she wants for sure. The feeling of being trapped into something is often linked to a loss of identity. She should see a therapist if she is worried about it. Having friends and crushes is somewhat normal. She is most probably polyamorous if she loves or is interested in many people at the same time. If it's only physical, hey, a lot of people do. As long as you draw the boundaries together it shouldn't be a problem. Talking like you do is great but it can take a toll on either or both of you. That's why counseling would do you good right now, just to have an external opinion of what can be done." Another user said, "I might be wrong, but it sounds like your wife never really got to date much before engaging on a serious relationship with you. Are you her first stable relationship? Or were you her first boyfriend? It almost sounds to me like she has that thought on the back of her mind. Am I happy or am I just comfortable? And until she finds the answer to that question then she won't stop having those feelings. is important to identify where those feelings are coming from and work on the root of the problem. As for you, I think this is the time you talk to her about how you feel. If you don't tell her how you feel about this situation, then chances are she won't stop acting the way she is. Also, I understand you are working hard to make that relationship work. You sound like an outstanding man, so do not be afraid to start over in case you have to. Best of luck to you both. May your journey lead to happiness. The next one is titled, Update. Wife told me she feels trapped in our marriage. Many of you guys recommended counseling. We tried that, but I aborted it after the first session, because I could only get her to talk about what she feels, but she made clear she is not going to make any steps in my direction. Still, the only thing that interests her is her online game and the guys who she plays with. She has somehow seen that our marriage is brittle and tries, but I feel that it is work for her and not something she wants to. 2 weeks ago, we had a fight because she told me she wants to meet some guys in RL that she met online. All from other countries, so it's not easy in these times, and that if she has feelings for them she wants to act them out. And if it's not okay for me, I can end the relationship. It's up to my choice. In the last 2 weeks I have thought a lot about how to go on. And by now I am quite confident that letting her go is the only way. I honestly do not believe that we can manage, that we can get together again, because at some point, there was simply no us anymore, and that made me lose my trust in her. It hurts me that she is somehow trying now, but I cannot go on anymore with it. I recently discovered that she shows very strong signs of narcissism. Reading about it online gave me words to describe what was wrong in our relationship all the years. I am going to prepare myself for the following weeks. We live in a flat owned by my parents. I don't want to kick her out immediately, but I will stay in that house, which will be a very hard time for both of us. If you experienced a breakup, please tell me what the things where you think you did very well and are happy with, and what are the things you did wrong. Thank you. Big update. Found out she had a cyber affair after actually being ready to make the separation talk when we come home. We fought, I couldn't make the hard cut, and I broke in emotionally. We said we don't want to throw away what we have. But it felt fake. I looked through the files and found out there were self-written love stories with her and one of the guys. It was dated 2 days before I googled online affairs and had the feeling it was exactly that. I came to it because of some posts in the initial post. My belly feeling was right. This gives me a lot of self-esteem. I got all the proof for this as well. The next one is titled, I Ada for calling my wife a bully, even though I knew it would upset her? Context. I am 36, work as a bus driver. I've been doing the same route for about 5 years, and I've gotten to know my regulars pretty well, to the point where I'd consider most of us friends. I enjoy my job and conversation, and socializing comes easily to me. My wife, F36, works in an office and drives, so she's never really met any of my regular passengers. So, I've been married for about 5 years now, and we've got 2 little kids, M4 and F1. And every few weeks we do the big shop where we go to the big Asda, Walmart for you Americans. Everything was fine and we were getting through the list with the kids sat in the trolley when I hear my wife make a noise of disgust, and I look up to follow her gaze and see one of my regulars, getting her own shopping done. Let's call her L, F27. L is a goth. Very monochrome color scheme, always in black velvet and lace, black lipstick, powdered white face, some visible tats, the works. But she's a lovely girl, very sweet, works as a sign language interpreter at a local secondary school, involved with age concern in her spare time and working towards a PhD. All-round nice young lady. My wife launches into a snarky tirade about her appearance. Look at that. Why would you choose to look like that? Just asking for attention, then probably complains she can't get a job. She looks like a witch, it's creepy, wouldn't want that in any place of work, probably on drugs, etc. I told her to stop it, as she was being very rude and judgmental, but kept going and saying increasingly worse things about Elle, not even toning down her vitriol in front of the kids. I'll be honest, I wasn't the best guy when I was younger, and if I'd seen Elle when I was in school I probably would have made fun of her too, but we're all adults here and I think it's time we left that attitude behind us. Even if I didn't know Elle, I'd think that sort of talk inappropriate, especially as my oldest is very impressionable and due to start school in September and I don't want him thinking that's an acceptable way to behave. My wife was bullied severely during her teen years, and she's told me how much of an impact it has to this day. Eventually I just told her to shut up and stop acting like the same bullies that made her life hell when she was in school. She shut up quick. She hasn't spoken to me since, and I got an angry text from Sil telling me I hurt my wife, beyond words. And how dare I compare her to her school bullies who traumatized her so badly as a teenager. I've tried explaining my side and how I want to set a good example for the kids, and also that Elle was a friend of mine, who gave us a congratulations card when we had both our children, but neither one will listen and I'm thinking I might have gone too far. A user in the comments said, as you're in the UK you should remind your wife about the murder of Sophie Lancaster and ask her where she thinks the kids who did it learned it was okay to judge people on how they look or dress. You're right to call her out on it because your kids are totally absorbing everything she says. It might be worth sitting down with the eldest and talking about how what Mummy said was wrong and how bullying is bad. NTA. Another user said, NTA. You called your wife out on her behavior, she just didn't like being called out. You can't lie to your spouse, you have to be honest, and be able to talk about the not so nice parts of one another. She was, in every definition, being a bully. She was modeling that kind of behavior for your children. She just did not like you calling out her nasty behavior. The next one is titled, I Ada for refusing to find another job because my wife is uncomfortable with a coworker of mine. We just had a big fight over this. She thinks I'm being a huge asshole, but I feel her request is crazy. I started a new job at an office last year right before COVID lockdown. Have a coworker named Jessica who helped me out when I was starting out and we're friendly with each other. Not really many friends, but someone I can have small talk with when days are slow. Thing is, some news came out last week that Jessica was having an affair with a married guy in a different department. Apparently wife came into the office and confronted her. I was out that day because my wife had an ultrasound appointment but everyone else saw. First time hearing of this, but I guess Jessica has a habit of going after married guys. Kissed another married guy at a Christmas party few years ago. Not sure how much of that is true. My wife heard about it through a friend of hers who works in sales there. Due to this my wife tells me she doesn't want me working there anymore because what if she tries something with me? Honestly, I was very insulted. As if I would so easily end 5 years of marriage just like that. She just says she's uncomfortable because she knows we work together and asked me why I can't apply at other places. For one thing, the hours there are great, good benefits, and I'm gonna need that paid time off and paternity leave once our son arrives in a few months. I just honestly couldn't believe this was even up for discussion. We had a whole fight, she's mad at me now. And thinks then maybe I do have something for Jessica if I don't want to leave the job. I told her she's being fucking ridiculous. That's where we are. My wife thinks I'm being a total asshole right now, that I'd rather stay at that job knowing it's making her feel uneasy about Jessica being there rather than trying to find a new place to work now that there's more job options. This is why I'd like to know if I'm being because I've never seen her this upset. Edit. Just wanted to clarify that my wife wasn't the one who came into the office. As we were both at the doctor for her ultrasound. It was the wife of the other coworker who confronted Jessica. A user in the comments said, nah, your wife is being crazy here. But she's likely dealing with surging hormones, more emotions than her body can handle, feeling fat and unattractive and threatened, by a non-fat, non-pregnant, probably attractive and up for sex coworker. In normal circumstances I'd suggest a good conversation about trust and boundaries, but in this case, just give your wife a little time to cool down and then make a big gesture to show her how beautiful and special she is to you. Maybe a special date night or a romantic gift. Showing her love and reassurance will get you further than a fight about this. In the meantime, keep your distance from Jessica. A person willing to repeatedly hook up with married guys probably isn't a great person. Another user said, NTA, but, A, maybe cut your wife some slack if she's not usually like this. First pregnancy we went out with some coworkers of my husband, and this went down. Husband. Oh, I hate fish. Coworker. Oh God, me too. I went home early since I was tired and couldn't drink. Husband and coworkers stayed out. I stayed up all night fretting about the impending divorce, because my hormonal brain had decided that he would absolutely leave me for his coworker, since she didn't like fish, but I do. Poor guy was so confused as to why I was crying and had no idea how to calm me down. We brought it up with the midwife and she helped us understand that your brain can work in mysterious ways when pregnant due to everything that's going on. It was horrible at the time, and it felt so rational and logical, but spoiler alert. He never left me, and we can laugh about it now. He cooks fish for me. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.